Hi guys, so this is the Honda E, Honda's fully electric baby. It's my first time driving the car. I have driven lots of electric cars before, but this is my first time sort of running a car because I'm going to have this car for a few days. So what I thought I'd do is actually vlog a day by day or maybe every other day a diary on the car to see how I get on. So this is day one. Our car arrived yesterday and pretty much been 24 hours since I've had it. So let me do a little quick walk around for you and then we'll start to get into some of the details inside the car and some of the tech in the car. So there it is, the Honda E. This is the Honda E Advance. So this is a slightly better spec version, in charge yellow they call it. And as I approach, you see the door handle just popped out there. Obviously you notice there's no mirror. We're going to talk about that in a bit, don't worry. But the door has detected my proximity, the key's proximity, and the door handle has popped out. There you go, the distinctive lights at the front. One thing I will say about this car is that in the metal, the plastic, the flesh, whatever you want to call it, it's a bit bigger than it was, than it appeared to be in the pictures. Definitely has a more substantial presence. I would say not quite super mini size, maybe not quite city car size, maybe a bit more super mini size, yeah, but probably like Vauxhall Corsa, Peugeot 208, that sort of size car, I think. So what is here at the front? I don't know what this panel here is. If anybody knows why there's a panel there, it's quite soft, this area. They've got the blue trim around the logo. This is quite soft. Anybody knows what that is, tell me. Sensors and cameras all over the car, as you'll see when we get in. This of course is the charging panel. I think a light comes on there. I haven't seen it yet, maybe at night. I will report back if it does. So this is the key fob. If I hit that opens up, and then you can see the whole charging panels in there. That's sort of fast charging. Use both of them or individually, whatever. And we're finding out more about these, I'm sure, as I will have to go through that experience for the first time of charging up the car soon. We're going to talk about that. If anybody knows what that logo is and why it's there, let me know. Let's look at the back of the car. As you can see, the back mimics the front in terms of the bar that goes all the way across the car and the two lights at each corner. It's very much a wheel at each corner sort of car as well, this thing. Which and rear wheel drive, remember, so I'm guessing the motor is in the rear, which is why when you open this hatch you find that it is super mini levels of luggage space with a very high floor. The floor is flush with the top of the rim of the edge here, and underneath just a little bit of cavities and maybe a tire repair kit, but that's about it. So, and these are cables basically, so one type of cable, another type of cable, so you have to carry all these around, and these have got little hooks so that they stay in place. A little peek at the interior there, so let's have a look at that. And this is the door handle is flush and hidden. There's a little indentation there, so you press that and then you can pull that handle. Very Spartan rear seats, very IKEA-ish, don't you think? But very, very flat, completely flat, very Spartan, very basic, but it does have Isofix anchor points. This whole thing folds down, and when it folds down, that's quite a bit of space now. So not a bad amount of space now, but now it's only a two-seater. Notice the brown seat belts. I don't know if they're with this color, or I have another theory of why they're brown, not because I'm the brown car guy. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that at the moment, but it looks alright, doesn't it, in terms of space? But that trim, nice hard-wearing trim, reminiscent of older cars, again, carried through into the door. So it's all along here, the door pocket there. But I was saying about the seat belt, I think that the seat belt is meant to mimic the wood paneling. You can see there? So you see that's the center console. Again, the seats very much the same sort of trim, very basic but quite hard wearing, nice comfortable seats. Look at the floor on the car. It's flush with the sill, so that it doesn't dip in, it's completely flush. So again, I guess the battery packs maybe are under there or something. Lot of cloth again on the door panel, straightforward there. And again, there's a wooden panel with you can see that's your display for that comes on straight away, so it's on all the time. Obviously not when you're not in the car. So let's get into the car and close the door. And one thing that I keep doing, so once you do that, this is what happens. Once you close the door, effective. So what I've been doing is I get in the car, close the door, and I press the start button. And whenever I do that, I end up turning the car off, whereas actually it's come on. And all it wants you to do now is you just press the brake pedal, and there it's ready to drive. That's it. So in here, as I was talking about this wood paneling, this arrangement here with the vents, the way that this is tacked underneath, the small boss on the center of the steering and the two spokes on it, that the thud there, if you heard it, was actually the door handles going back in. You won't be able to see them, but you can actually see them on there sometimes. The door handles, actually, if I do this, can you see them? There, you can see that. There, you can hear it and see it. Quite loud, that. A little bit of a shock sometimes because it comes on as you drive off and you go, what was that? Anyway, so this is, as I was saying, we did used to have a Mark 1 Civic in the family at one time, and that does very much put me in mind of the car. It's very reminiscent, that whole arrangement there with that hanging underneath, the vents, the wood, the steering, the way the thin rim it's done. It's very reminiscent of that car. So a lot of nostalgia as well as a lot of futurism in this car. A lot of cameras. Now that is a normal mirror, but actually it also has a digital camera. So talking about these cameras, I honestly struggle with them a little bit. In fact, that's why I put that back to normal, because I like to have a sense of reality, because with all these cameras around, sometimes you're not sure, you know, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel real because you're looking at it through a monitor, and also judging perspective and depth is sometimes a little bit difficult. Down here you've got the transmission, park, reverse, neutral, drive. This is the one pedal drive system. We'll talk about that in a minute. Press reverse. I just want to show you on here, because then you also get a lot of cameras on this. So full 360s. I think there's some options here in terms of what you can see. So you can do that. I don't know what that does. Maybe the sides, but also there's a button here. This is the park assist system. So actually then that will park the car for you, unpark the car for you. I don't normally go use those systems, but yeah, a lot of cameras, so lots of, you know, perspective all round digitally. But I don't know, I'm getting used to them. I am getting, there's lines there that also help you. I am getting used to them, so we'll see at the end of the week how I feel about them. But at the moment, I really do miss normal physical mirrors. Buttons on the top here. This is a full screen. Obviously, you've heard a lot about that. And let me just put it back into park. And so now I can go into the home screen. And look at that, you get wallpaper. That's a Japanese garden, I think, but you can actually adjust that. So general settings, and you can go into display, and display you can select wallpaper, and then you've got a selection of wallpaper. You can even add your own if you stick a USB in there, or once you're at a standstill you can select aquarium, and eventually that comes up. No device connected. I've been struggling to connect my phone to this for some reason. I've only been able to do it through the cable. There's a ton of power sockets. There's a 3-pointed power supply. I think that turns it on. I'm not sure. I think that's what that does. And then in the regular sort of round power supply, that's for charging. That's HDMI, because you can actually play games on this console where now there are fish. So if you want to just sit around doing nothing and looking at the relaxing image of fish swimming around, then there you have an aquarium. Once you're on the go, that actually turns off. It doesn't let you continue to see moving fish. Now down here you've got the brake pedal. Over here you've got a cup holder, so that panel, the nice little leather strap pulls out a little cup holder. That's handy. There's pockets over here. I'm assuming that they come out, and I'll have to investigate that, but I'm assuming that they come out and then you can adjust the gaps or something, because I think that's what that is. Drive mode, so it does have a sport mode and a normal mode. Now, talking of the, let me just move there, but there's a little pocket there as well. Nice that there's a gap here. So it's quite, you know, it's quite spacious. Actually, for a small car, it feels really spacious because of this big gap and everything like that. And, you know, it feels like an old school car a little bit, where you get in the car and you got thin pillars. It's got, you know, a sunroof and everything, and it feels like it's got a lot of glass, and, you know, it feels like an old car a little bit. Looking at this bit here, now the car was delivered 92% charged. I've done, as you can see, 13.7 miles. That's mostly been, I'm in Northwest London, mostly done school runs, to the shops, errands, things like that, nothing major. And it's down to 70%. 13.7, it was delivered with about 100-mile range. It's now showing a 62-mile range. So that's not great. Now, the interesting thing is that obviously I've got the climate control on. Let me put this onto EV over here. And actually sometimes there it tells you, when you're driving along, it tells you how much energy you got And what happens, it tells you what happens when you turn this off, fan, because the fan is being driven off the battery. The fan is basically your climate control, and it actually tells you that when you're driving along, that what happens if you turn it off. So what happens if you turn it off? Let me turn it off here, and you'll see, look at the mileage jump up to 84 miles. Now that's feasible in the UK, I suppose, you know, but if you're in the Middle East, you don't want to be turning the climate control off. So that becomes a non-starter, really. You can't really do that because you would just die of heat and dehydration. So it's very, very interesting. I do like this car. Obviously, I fell in love with the exterior of the car as soon as they released it and they first showed it. To me, it just reminded me of that Mark I Civic, and like I said, we used to have one in the family, and we loved that car. It was a lot of fun, a real hoot, a real sort of Japanese Mini Cooper that car was. This should be interesting. It's rear-wheel drive. This is the Advance, and that means it has a little bit of extra horsepower. So let me just give you a few stats on the car. It's 29,160 pounds, this one. It's in charge yellow, as I've said. Like I said, this is the advanced version. And the advanced version has 113 horsepower, whereas the regular one has 100 horsepower. They both have 315 Newton meters of torque. Both have a top speed of 100 miles per hour. The regular one will do 0 to 62 miles per hour in 9 seconds, and this one is supposed to be able to do it in 8 seconds. 35.5 kilowatt battery capacity, blah blah blah, God knows what all of this means. Apparently equivalent to 177 miles per gallon. We'll see about that. Weighs about 1,500 kilograms, so you know, not exactly a lightweight. Very well equipped. Active cruise control, heated steering, heated seats, like you saw, parking assist, all the rest of it. DAB, Android Auto, stereo, all the rest of it. So, got all the works. So, unlike my Mark I Civic that I remember, it's very, very highly spec'd, very techy, very futuristic, cameras and all the works of it. Getting used to this is going to be interesting, especially the cameras. I think is going to I'm going to struggle with personally, but it's an interesting technology to have. I think the big question for me over the next few days is going to be range anxiety, really, because already, you know, I mean, you know, with the AC on, with the climate on, that dips down to 62-mile range. You know, in a normal car, when it gets to about a 40-mile range, I start to think about, oh, I think I should put some fuel in there. So that we're only 20 miles away from that. How long will I go before I have to figure out how to charge this thing? And I will have to figure out how to charge this thing very soon. And that will be interesting. And you know, that'll be the real question of how it is to live with and how it is to do that. To drive so far, it feels fairly nippy. I like the one pedal thing. I have been using that around town. Not so great at parking speeds when you're trying to maneuver it with a little bit more. You need a lot of sensitivity on your right foot to be able to use that, because the one pedal thing is basically when you lift off the throttle, the car comes to a halt. So it's like an RC car. So basically you're on, you're off, off. When you're off, the car will stop. So you don't need to use the brake pedal if you time it right. Sometimes you will need to use the brake pedal if you're going quickly. But around town and in traffic, it works really well because you just use the one foot and you're fine. Like I said, in low speed maneuvering and in sort of things that you're trying to do, like parking and stuff, probably best to go back to the normal mode. Compact size, easy to place and stuff. Just trying to, because I normally try and use the mirrors to keep a picture, a mental image of what's going on around me, and I'm struggling a little bit with that. But other than that, it's not bad at all. Quite a standout car. It's been getting a few looks, not as many looks as I thought it would get, but it has had a few looks. I've heard people talking about, oh, it's got the cameras. You know, I've heard as they're walking past, they're going, you know, they're talking about that. So it certainly stands out, particularly in this yellow, I suppose. You know, so it'll be interesting to see how we get on with this car. So yeah, just stay tuned. Follow hashtag BCG Honda E over the next few days. May not post up every day, but every other day or something, I'll post up and see how we get on. Of course, I will be doing a full review on the car as well, so stay tuned for that also on all of my channels. Make sure that you're following browncarguy.com, youtube.com/browncarguy, of course, hashtag browncarguy on all the social media channels. Go to my Patreon and support me. A lot of great people already there. I name checked them in my regular videos and other content, but I think I've got about 6 patrons now on there, so go and join them. That would be much appreciated. It really helps to be able to do all of these things with the support of people like yourselves and like those guys on there. Otherwise, yeah, just continue to like, share, subscribe, comment, all the rest of it. All right, catch you maybe tomorrow. See you. Bye.